You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today is our Total Wellness Tuesday show, but we're going to talk about a topic today that basically goes well beyond wellness. It has to do with both anti-aging, clean, glowing skin, energy, basically a lack of clarity or inducing brain fog, headaches, cellulite. I mean, it spans everything, and it's probably one of the most misunderstood, or really, it's just not talked about at all. And that's talking about your lymphatic system. Your lymph is literally the missing key to getting well, to losing weight, and to really, I would say, honestly, increasing vitality overall. I'm going to tell you why. Your lymphatic system is literally a drainage system set up around your entire body. A lot of times we don't think about this, but we have 40 trillion cells in our body. That's trillion with a T. So all of these cells need fuel, right? They need fats, proteins, and carbs, and the byproducts of those, meaning like amino acids, sugars, fatty acids, all that great stuff. But the other thing is too, all of these cells, think of every single cell as its own little entity, its own little organism, and those organisms produce waste. Your mitochondria, all of these things actually give off waste. So what your lymphatic system does is it takes that waste and it drains it and moves it out of your body. Literally, it looks like, almost like most of us are familiar with the veins and the arteries in our body, right? That's a circulatory system. Well, your lymphatic system is anywhere between 2 and 4 times the amount of, we'll call it arteries or movements, the lymphatic system through the entire body. I mean, that's remarkable. So we have something in our body that's 2 to 4 times the size of just our arteries or circulatory system, but it never gets talked about. And it's because it's so misunderstood. And honestly, they're finding more and more out about it every single day. They just recently found that our own central nervous system, literally our central nervous system, now has its own lymphatic drainage system. Well, it always has, right? But we've just found out about it in science. That's why we know a lot, and I'm not going to discount how much we do know in conventional medicine and natural medicine, all of these great things, functional medicine, whatever, right? We know a lot, but we're still like children with a microscope. We're still kids at this thing. We are so far from truly understanding our body. If we knew it all, we would literally know everything, all the internal makings of our body, but we don't. We also still can't recreate anything real in nature. Like, we can't just pull out a chemistry set and create an apple. That doesn't happen. We're not as advanced as we like to say, which means when we start using things like pharmacological drugs, pharmaceuticals, those types of things, we have to be really careful with our mindset about that. Only in life-saving conditions, and here's why. Once we start putting synthetic man-made pharmaceuticals into our body, well, guess what? We're not going to always know the repercussions, because everything we put in our body, it has a side effect, legitimately, and that side effect is either a good side effect or a bad side effect. And in the terms of pharmacology, in terms of conventional medicine, in terms of anything man-made, typically there's a pretty negative consequence. Now, I know we're, weighing the pluses and minuses, right? Like, sometimes we're taking those drugs because we might need to, right? Because of a congenital-based issue or whatever it is. But for most of us, if it's a chronic-based condition, I'm telling you, you can fix it with natural medicine. You really can. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high whatever, Hashimoto's, autoimmune, there is a natural answer. Hands down, easy. What we're not going to talk about that is today. So I've done many, many shows on that. We'll talk about more. But what we want to talk about is, how do we use our lymphatic system, which is a part of all of our bodies, to our advantage to increase energy, decrease brain fog, eliminate those headaches, decrease the cellulite, get rid of all that water retention, drain kind of all the, the puffy eyes, all those things. I've talked about it before. Let me tell you a little bit about the lymphatic system. I think you'll understand a little bit better. It's made up of these lymphatic vessels that move through the body. Our body makes lymphocytes. Basically, think of it as almost like our white blood cells or a part of our immune system, which is going to kill pathogens and foreign invaders. Really, really important. And then I think what we all know is the lymph nodes, right? Those are the kind kind of the glands they talk about. It's underneath the jawline where we can sometimes get swollen if we get a sore throat. We have lymph nodes in the groin. Sometimes you can feel those little bumps there, under the armpits, behind the knees. So what happens is, as we're bringing in, so the lymphocytes, along with macrophages and a lot of other things, they bring them to the lymph nodes, and it basically is like a cleaning center, and you're killing a lot of these pathogens. And also our tonsils, our adenoids kind of in the throat, behind the nose, those are also parts of the lymphatic system which drain and they kill bacteria. And so someone like myself who's had my tonsils removed, my adenoids removed, everything removed from my body, right? Just throw it all out and it's not even needed. Probably just extras that, when our bodies were created, they just made extra parts. And so we just throw them out, cut them out, throw them out. Well, what happens is now I'm missing those. I'm missing a part of my lymphatic system. So how am I supposed to better kill all the bacteria, drain the bacteria from my sinuses? Well, I can't. Now I have to do that manually. Not ideal, but it is what it is. And so we're just going to have to deal with that. And I will deal with that. So what I'm saying is this. The lymphatic system is going to keep us healthy. It's going to keep us in tip-top shape. It's going to give us the energy, the vitality, and the body we want, and the clean, glowing skin, because what the lymphatic system does is it takes out the bacteria. We need to remove that bacteria. And also, especially all the people out there right now who are eating a high-fat diet, think about it right now. A high-fat diet can clog up the lymphatic system. So all these people talking about keto this, high-fat this, they don't understand the long-term consequences. I'm sorry. It's a surface-level knowledge. Even if you're a PhD in it, you've studied, you focus so tightly into one specific scenario that you haven't looked at all the other scenarios that could be. 90% of your diet fat, are you kidding me? Like that's makes zero sense. Like step back, common sense would tell you that's imbalanced. Our bodies are trying to stay balanced, right? I don't care if you feel fantastic on an 80% fat diet. It doesn't mean it's good for you long term, right? I mean, you could just be pushing cortisol levels, right? You could be pushing adrenaline levels. That doesn't mean it's good. It means that in the short term, you're running on speed, basically. So anyway, I'm going to get off that soapbox again and get you back onto how we can get this lymphatic system pumping through one simple thing, which is one of my favorite, dry brushing. But before we get to dry brushing, let me just tell you a few other things. Vitally important that we're getting our 10,000 steps per day. Use your iPhone, use your smartphone, look at the app, and just make sure you're getting your 10,000 steps per day. It's only about 100 minutes of walking. Everybody does about 1,000 steps in 10 minutes, most people, right? So if you haven't been on your feet for an hour and a half for the day, well, then that just means you're really sedentary, and that's not good for health or body transformation. I also want to make sure that you're getting your half your body weight in water per day. General recommendation. That means if you weigh 160 pounds, half of that is 80 ounces of water, and divide that by 8. That's 10 glasses of water per day. Most people should be at around 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. Smoothies do count as part of that. And I want you to start to look at your detoxification pathways so that your liver is doing a much, much better job. We'll talk about that in the future as well. So there's a lot of great things you can do. Infrared sauna, you can do deep breathing, you can sip on hot water throughout the day, you can sip on hot ginger tea. Those are amazing for moving the lymphatic system. But what I want to focus on right now is I've never done really a show on dry brushing. So let's talk about dry brushing. It takes you 2 minutes. This is what I do. 2 minutes before I get in the shower every morning. That's it. Literally, that's all it takes. Now, when I was going for my doctoral degree in naturopathy, one of the courses I had to take was the Vater technique in manual lymph drainage. So I was like, okay, well, this is really interesting. So I learned about the lymphatic system, never studied it in depth, just studied it as part of our actual anatomy and physiology. So I said, wow, this is really interesting. It does all these different things. It actually runs through the entire body. Pretty remarkable. And then it empties out in very specific places. And the main nodes are behind the knees, the groin, the armpits, and around the neck. And then it comes around the left side of your shoulder. That's why a lot of people actually with pain in their left side of their chest and shoulder can actually be a clogged up lymphatic system. It's interesting to look at, and I always do look at that specifically. But I said, how can dry brushing simply move that lymphatic system? Well, what happens is your lymph, even though it moves through the entire system, again, it's almost like a sewage system, and it picks up all the trash and empties it out of your body. Well, a lot of it lies just a couple millimeters below your skin. So you don't need a hard massage. You actually need a gentle massage. You need to stimulate the skin. So what dry brushing does, moving always towards the heart. Why towards the heart? Because your lymphatic system basically runs uphill. It runs from the extremities up to what I was talking about up in the left side of the shoulder, greater thoracic duct up there, and you want to make sure that you start to drain it into that specific area. But let me make it a little simpler because I try not to make things too complicated, although this is actually a nice topic to talk about a little bit more scientifically, but we won't bore anyone too bad today. So what I want you to do is this. I want to teach you how to do dry brushing. Now, the water technique for manual lymph drainage is great, but the problem is this. So in the 1900s, we started to say, oh, well, this person invented this person invented this. They didn't. I studied in Sri Lanka many, many years ago, India, all of these nice different places. And when I studied their system of massage, and I did it, and I worked obviously in clinics, they did manual lymph drainage 5,000 years ago, 5,000 years before any of our manual lymph drainage techniques. How do they know? Who knows? How do you know 5,000, 6 years ago, all these things? They did. I'm not going to speculate, but they did, and it's amazing. And their technique is even better than anything I've seen. So what I've done is I've adapted this now for dry brushing. I'll create a video on this in the future, no doubt about it, but I can walk you through this because this is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It'll take me 2 minutes to explain it. Okay, so here's how it works. I like to start down at the lowest extremity of the legs. The legs is where most things pool. People start to get swelling in the legs. They start to get cellulite, sometimes the back of the glutes, back of the legs. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to clear the lymph as we move up to the upper body first. So what I want you to do is stroke from your kneecap all the way up to your groin. And I want you to do 3 times over the same spot from your kneecap to your groin. And I want you to just do all the way around your leg. So start on the front of your leg and then go to the inside of your thigh and then go to the right to the back of your leg, and then keep going around in a circle. Do 3 times in each direction. Good, you're done with that upper thigh. Next, move down to that ankle. Move from the ankle up to the knee. Do that 3 times in each direction. Move all the way around your leg, basically your shin, right? Your calf muscles. Then stroke from your ankle all the way up to your groin. Why do I do it that way? Because in Ayurvedic medicine, I learned that you always clear the lymph above before you do the lymph below so that it has a clear passage to move. Really beautiful in its insight, makes perfect sense. Then you can do the whole leg at once. And again, each stroke, it takes 1 second. That's it. Super simple. And you are not stroking hard. So I just want you to keep that in mind. This is not gung-ho hard pressure. This is light pressure on the skin. You only need to just show an indentation on the skin, about 2 to 3 millimeters. That's it. Okay. So after you do that, guess what? You repeat on the other side. You have 2 legs, you do both sides. Now you've cleared all the lymph in your legs all the way up to your groin. Really important, because now the lymph nodes in the groin can start to clear and kill and remove a lot of these pathogens, start to remove a lot of that, all the fats that are gunking up that lymphatic system as well. Then I want you to move over to your arms. Now your arms, you don't have to clear your bicep to your shoulder because your legs are way larger. Just keep in mind, about 60% of the muscle is from your kneecap to the top of your iliac crest. That's basically the top of your hip to your knee. And the majority of your lymph is all kind of stationed, or I should say where it gets more stagnant in the legs. So that's why we need to do a little bit more work for that. But now we move to the arms. The arms are much smaller. They're easier to clear. And what I'm going to say is they're probably a little bit more active. So what I want you to do is just stroke down from your wrist all the way down to your armpit. You're using a dry brush, of course. A dry brush is just literally like it sounds. It's a dry brush made out of just bristles. We'll link it up in the show notes today. We can get a dry brush. Really simple. You can get it at a Whole Foods or a place like that. We'll link up to the one on Amazon. And also, just keep in mind, this is something I'm a huge believer in. Anything I'm a huge believer in that's not going to cost you a lot of money, I'm trying my best to give those things to you kind of as bonuses. Just because I do it, I love it, and I know that you're going to get results from it. So if you're going to get results, why wouldn't I do this for you? And it takes 2 minutes a day. So all orders over $99 at stephencabral.com/store, just our store, I send you the most beautiful lymphatic dry brush set that you could get. It's a spa set. It's a long handle full brush. It's a facial brush to exfoliate, to drain the face as well, to help with that clear, glowing, clean skin, and also a pair of lymphatic gloves that you've probably never seen before that are amazing. Comes in a nice carrying case. You can take it with you if you want. Anyway, you can just go to the store and check that out if you want. And it's free, so it's not like I'm trying to sell you anything. So next up, you just did your legs. You did your arms. All right, after that, it's not confusing, but what we do is keep in mind the heart, let's just consider it the center of your chest. When you do your Chest then, you just stroke very gently from your shoulder right down towards your heart. When you want to do your stomach, now the only thing I can say with the stomach is the stomach we like to do in a circle. So what you do is you just actually just move from your belly button and you start to stroke around in a circle until you do your entire abdomen. That's the best way to actually drain and do some manual lymph drainage over the actual lymphatic system. So that hands down is the best way to do it. It's kind of like a constipation-based massage. Now, what I want you to do for your backside, again, you can use the long handle brush for this. You're going to stroke from your lower back down to your hips. The reason you do that is because you can use the lymph closest to the lower back, which is down around the groin area. And then your glutes, you can do in a circle as well, or just stroke up towards the lower back. But also what I do is when I'm stroking from the behind the knee up towards my groin, I'm just going right up the glutes so I don't have to redo the glutes. So again, maybe this sounds complicated, but it's not. Let me just do a quick 30-second run through of this. Knee to the groin, ankle to the knee, ankle all the way up to the hip, you're done. Now you do that on both legs. Now for your arms, stroke from the wrist to the armpit. You're going to do that 3 times each position, then just move around the arm 3 times in each spot. You're done with the arms. Now, just a little bit on the chest, a little bit on the stomach. You can do your lower back. You're good. Then put the dry brush down, and you can use the exfoliating brush for your face, or just use your fingertips and stroke from your jawline down to your collarbone. That will drain the lymph from your neck all the way down to your collarbone. I'm telling you, this is simple to do. You will see results within about 7 to 14 days. I bet you'll have less puffiness in your face. You'll have a little bit more pep in the step because you're going to be able to just drain more of those toxins. I'm telling you, with 88,000 plus man-made synthetic toxins in the environment, and I can prove that, I can show you, which will be coming out soon, a urine test that you absolutely do have awful, we'll just put it awful, I don't want to scare anybody, awful synthetic chemicals in your body. We need to move these out of the body. Do the infrared sauna when you can. Do the massage when you can. But every day you can do 2 minutes of this dry brushing before you get in the shower. Can't recommend it enough. It's done a lot for me. And if I can pass that on to you and it can help you, that's what I'm hoping to do here in this show. So please do feel free to let me know if there's any questions on this. There's always something I'm going to miss, right? On a 15-minute show, I can't cover everything in the world. So let's say you've heard about dry brushing before. You have a question. Great. Ask me. Just go to StephenCabral.com/Ask Cabral. I'm always happy to answer your questions. Even if it takes a couple weeks, I will get to them. So for everyone else, just go to StephenCabral.com/store and check out the free dry brush set, the spa package that we have for everyone. If you're going to order Dr. Cabral Detox, if you're going to order the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol, meaning like the greens powder that I use every morning, the daily all-in-one shake, which is the daily nutritional support shake, and maybe even the probiotic, you're going to get that for like $3 or $4 a day, $5 if you do the full protocol that I do. For the same price as a Starbucks latte, it's the healthiest thing you could possibly do in your life. You get a beautiful spa package along with that. Anyway, if it's the right choice for you, great. If not, then just get the dry brush. The dry brush doesn't cost that much. The set costs a little bit more, but if you just want to get one dry brush, simply get the longer handle one so that you can reach kind of the whole body. So that if you're someone who's maybe a limited movement, like limited range of motion, maybe it's an elderly parent that you get it for as well. They can do this too. Great. It's going to give them a little bit more pep in their step as well. Get that one. That's about $15 or so just for the long handle brush. It's an amazing, amazing tool to add to your healthy repertoire and healthy routine. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another Cabral Concept. Really appreciate you tuning in. Really appreciate each and every listen. And please do feel free to share this episode with anyone you believe it could help.
Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or unbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.